Good afternoon, gang, and welcome to Habs After Dark. My name is Devin, and we are here to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, and specifically, we are here to talk about today's loss, 4-0 loss to the New Jersey Devils. Disappointing result, for sure, but not a disappointing game overall, in my opinion. I don't think it was all bad. The score certainly does not reflect what I view to be the way they played. And so let's talk about it. Again, they lose 4-0. Before we get started, guys, I will invite everybody, if you're watching live, if you're watching in a replay, please subscribe. Help us grow our channel. Help us grow. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. We're working our way to it. We're close to 300. We need your help to do that. So please do so. Hit the subscribe button below. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. Let's see how many likes we can get in here today. I think we should probably get a decent crowd in here today. It's a Saturday. It's a decent hour of the day. We're not too late. After doing those 3 a.m. shows earlier in the week, it's nice to be doing something at a decent time of the day. So if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. Like the show. And help us grow our community. We're doing it for you as well as for me. I enjoy doing this, but I also enjoy giving you guys a place where you can talk about the Montreal Canadiens. What's up, Phil Rogers? If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over to Recliner Sports 4 on YouTube. Right there, you'll see if you want to come over and join the conversation and watch the show, that's where you are able to do it. We invite you all to come over. We're not answering questions on TikTok. We will be answering any questions and comments you have over here on YouTube. So with all that said, let's get the show going. The Montreal Canadiens struggle to score goals tonight or this afternoon. I think that was the key takeaway from the game here. Their inability to take advantage of their opportunities. Frankly, this was a game where every number favored the Montreal Canadiens with the exception of the scoreboard. We'll look at the scoreboard later and we'll look at the stats. But again, the Canadiens were, in every respect, the better team on the ice today. But unfortunately, they were outscored 4-0. Now, that may sound silly to some people, and it probably is in some ways. But again, this is not a game I don't think that we would look on it with a level of disappointment necessarily. It certainly is not a step backwards for this team. I think they played well. But unfortunately, they played against a team that is a little bit more experienced, has a little bit more firepower at the top end right now. And they just weren't able to take advantage of their opportunities. And to me, that was the biggest takeaway of the game is, I find there are a lot of games nowadays where the Canadiens aren't able to finish on their chances. They're not able to bear down and score those goals when they have the opportunity to do so. They had plenty of opportunities to score today, and Jake Evans, not Jake Evans, Jesus Christ, Jake, Jake Allen, Jesus, my brain isn't working. Jake Allen played a decent game tonight, but he wasn't spectacular. He certainly did not win that game for New Jersey, but New Jersey took advantage of the opportunities that were given to them. When the Canadiens coughed up the puck and gave them an opportunity, they buried it. And unfortunately, the Canadiens didn't do the same when they were given opportunities to score on the New Jersey Devils, and it didn't work out. Anonymous says, tough loss. James says, I don't know what the problem is. Today we had the shots but not the goals. Another day it's the opposite. Yes. Claude Richard, hello Devin, go Habs go. Thank you, Claude. Welcome again. I think that's a good point, James. And that's another takeaway I had written down is, the Canadiens are a team right now where all Pistons, they're not having all Pistons firing at the same time. Like today, the second line looked really, really good, right? Doc, Newhook, and Anderson played a really, really good game. But Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slavkovsky didn't really have their best game. And so, when both of those two lines are firing, they're a pretty tough team to play against offensively. They're a pretty tough team to defend against. But when only one of them is firing, then they're a little bit easier to defend. They're a little bit easier to shut down. So again, what we saw when they were playing their best hockey, sort of from the Christmas break on to the latter part of January, they had more games where everybody was all firing at the same time, right? They had games where everybody was playing well. The first line was playing well. The second line was playing well. They were even getting good contributions from the third and fourth line. The Jake Evanses and the Yoel Armias and the Emil Heineman and those guys. So right now, today, they had good performances and good contributions from certain parts of their lineup, but not from others. And so that kind of is where the struggle is with them right now. The struggle is to get a level of consistency and also to get a level of, the entire team is performing at the same time as opposed to just certain aspects of it. So, tonight I thought, the second line was really strong. I thought the first line struggled a little bit. But overall, the biggest issue tonight this afternoon was the failure to take advantage, the failure to bury their opportunities. Right, the opportunities were there. What did we see at the end? We saw, what was the shots on goal? Shots on goal were 34-22. Right, they held a pretty good New Jersey Devils team to 22 shots on goal. And they had 34 of their own, but they just couldn't, take advantage of the opportunities that were there. And Sam Montembeault didn't have his best game tonight, right? He didn't, he certainly could have saved a couple of those goals. The first goal by Brett, I think he probably could have made that save. The last goal, I think he probably, could have made that save. So again, all pistons firing at the same time is not something that this team has, been fortunate enough to experience in quite some time, and when that happens, I think they'll look a lot better. But again, that's a young team, that's an immature team, right? They've got young players on this team, and they're not used to playing these types of games this late in the season, and they're struggling that way. So, yeah, that's what we got. Anybody got any comments? It looks really, really quiet there in the comment box. I see there's 9 people watching right now. We've just got the single thumbs up, just the one. Maybe people don't realize the Canadiens played this afternoon instead of this evening, so we're not getting a ton of people out here. But maybe I'll just move on to the scoreboard and we'll have a look at that. I'd like to spend some time with the scoreboard here today a little bit because it is an interesting one for a number of reasons. Here we go, guys. I want to just try something here. Movie. I don't want to mute the movie. I want to do that. So the scoreboard is interesting, guys. Again, obviously the number that counts is 4-0 for the Devils, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that doesn't really matter, but there's a lot of other numbers on there that really stand out to me, right? The shots 34-22, the Corsi 68-51. So that's basically shot attempts, right? Dominated by Montreal, like significantly more shot attempts. The Fenwick 53-37. So basically all shots toward the goal. So all shots attempted minus blocked shots. That's Fenwick, essentially 53-37. High danger scoring chances 15-9. Right. So these numbers are all significantly in Montreal's favor. So again, expected goals 3.89 to 2.1. So based on the play and based on what the statistical model would tell us, they would have expected Montreal to win this game 4-2. Basically, that's what expected goals is telling us. So again, I don't know that Jake Allen had a spectacular game today, but he certainly made the saves that he needed to. Sam Montembeault probably didn't. And the Canadiens just didn't take advantage of the opportunities that they have, right? Like expected goals measures, your opportunities and what you would expect to see from a goal perspective. But again, you still have to execute and you still have to finish those off, right? Do I think Doc is a long-term player on this team? I do, Muck. I do. Did you not think he played well today? I thought he had a fantastic game today. I thought he played really, really well. Again, I don't get the Doc hate. There's a lot of Doc hate, and I don't get it. I don't get hate in general towards players because I don't think there's any player out there that's really not trying. I think they're all trying. But again, Kirby Doc, I think has shown more than enough to demonstrate that he deserves an opportunity to play on this team long term. Obviously, there's been some issues with his consistency, and it took him some time to get into the groove this year after last year's injury. But again, I don't feel any issue towards Kirby Doc. So, anyways, let's look at the scoreboard here a little bit closer. Again, 4-0. I won't go through all of the goals. Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes were spectacular tonight. They're really good hockey players, right? They played a role in like each of the first 3 goals. Brad and Hughes both, are playing spectacular hockey right now. They're a tough duo to defend, and unlike the Montreal Canadiens, when they had their opportunities, they didn't have as many opportunities as some of the players on the Canadiens did tonight. But when they did get those opportunities, they buried them and they took advantage of them. So Bratt from Tatar and Hamilton in the first period. I've noticed that the Canadiens allow a lot of goals where the play originates behind their own net. I'm not sure if that's a thing or not, and I would want to do more research to look into it to see if it's a real issue, and I don't know how exactly to look that up. But again, it seems to me that they end up with a lot of goals where the play originates behind their own goal with a pass into the high slot or the slot, and the puck goes. That's kind of what happened on that first goal. Brett comes off the bench. He kind of gets lost in the mix because he's coming off the bench. Nobody defends him, and he gets open in the high slot and he buries the goal. The second goal, Paul Cotter on a bit of a rebound. Again, Bratt is left alone. He gets a shot on goal. The puck ends up on goal, and then Cotter gets the rebound and beats Montembeault. That's at 12:44 the second period. Then Jack Hughes scores early in the third to kind of put the Canadiens out of it, even though the Canadiens were playing well and thought that they might come back. Once Hughes scored that third goal, it kind of ended the Canadiens' hopes in a lot of ways. And then Luke Hughes finishes it midway through the third period, puts it out of reach, 4-0. Hughes from Meyer and Mercer. So that's it for the scoreboard, guys. 4-0 for the Devils. Again, I think if we look at the scoreboard at length, when we look a little bit deeper than just the goals, which again, the goals obviously are the most important thing, and I'm not here to suggest otherwise. But again, if you're looking to analyze this game a little bit deeper and to find out what kind of performance the Canadiens put on the ice, I think there are other numbers that you can look at. And from that perspective, there are some numbers that are positive from the Canadiens' point of view. Marty St. Louis is doing his post-game press conference. I'll be interested to check it out and see what he has to say after. I'll watch it. I'm interested to see what his thoughts are. But again, you outshoot, you shot attempt, you outchance, every possible way you outplay the other team. But unfortunately, you just don't get the goals when they count. So, yeah. That's it for the scoreboard, guys. What do we got here? Run with Kings. Welcome, Run with Kings. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate it. Welcome. Give us some thumbs up, guys, if you're here in the live. We've only got 6 people watching at the moment, but if you are watching, give us a thumbs up. James, is it just me, or when we play a past Montreal Canadiens player, they play their best game of the season, like Allen never did that when he was with us? Allen was a pretty good goaltender for the Canadiens. I don't have any issues with Allen. I don't think he played a fantastic game tonight. But again, I think he made the saves he needed to make when they needed to be made. And that, to me, is the sign of a good goaltender. And he certainly, the New Jersey Devils played a very efficient veteran hockey game tonight, or this afternoon, and that was more than the Canadiens could say for themselves. So Allen has a better defense in front of him in New Jersey than he did in Montreal. That's part of the issue as well. But again, I don't think that was the issue tonight, right? The Canadiens held the New Jersey Devils to just 9 high-danger scoring chances. So again, I don't know that was the issue today. I don't know that Jake Evans was the difference today. I just think it was more of a matter of them being a veteran team that takes advantage of their opportunities. What's up, PLW? Claude Richard, the Habs play like I can't wait to go on vacation. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that they played that terribly today. I mean, really don't. I mean, what is it that you thought? What is it that you thought, Claude, that they did badly today? Like, what can you point to specifically? That I mean, other than the scoreboard, which is an obvious thing, and it's obviously not something to be discounted. But were there specific aspects to their game today that you thought, you weren't, particularly happy with? I don't personally have anything that I would point to. Just a second, guys. I want to try and what do I do here? How do I do this? Enhance effects. Bang bang boom. Do 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 do. Pardon me, guys, for another 12 seconds while I figure myself out. I think it's down here. Boom. There we go. PLW, welcome. One problem with the Corsi and Fenwick, it doesn't calculate in luck. No, absolutely. It doesn't. And it's not just luck. It's that, it doesn't calculate in, your accuracy of your shooting. It doesn't calculate in whether you're able to take advantage of your opportunities, right? And I think that's the big issue tonight was that, they had their chances. They just didn't. They weren't efficient with their chances, and that's a sign of a young, immature hockey team, right? Even high danger scoring chances, right? High danger scoring chances. We're giving you the opportunity, but now you have to take advantage of that opportunity, and are you able to do that, right? Who's gone at the deadline, in my opinion? I mean, I truly don't know, Muck. I really don't know who's gone. I mean, the possibilities are, Dvorak, Armia, Evans, Savard. I think those are probably, if I had to put them in order, I would probably say Dvorak, Armia, Savard, Evans, maybe in that order. But I don't think the Canadiens have any players that they're going to be desperate to get rid of. I don't think they're going to be out there trying to give away guys. I think it's just you, Sea-Doo. I think it's just you. I don't think that's an accurate statement. Come on over if you have questions, guys. Come on over from TikTok and join us on Habs After Dark. We're over here on YouTube. Habs played decent second, gave up in the third. It is what it is. Explain what you mean by they gave up in the third. I mean, they outshot, they outchanced, they out everything the Devils in both the second and third. I'm not sure I would agree with you that they gave up. I thought they played a decent game. I think their biggest issue tonight was that they just didn't cash in on their scoring opportunities. They had plenty of them, and they just weren't able to close the deal. For a ninth game in a row, other team first line outplayed Habs first line. You can't win when your best players are never the best players on the ice. Last time it happened was versus the Rangers. I don't agree with that, PLW. I wouldn't say that it's been 9 games in a row where the Canadiens' first line was outplayed by the other team's first line. That's not an accurate statement, in my opinion. I think that I think that tonight it certainly was the case. But again, I don't know that it's been the case. I think that the first line has struggled the last 2 or 3 games, but certainly they haven't been outplayed in the last 9 games. I don't think that's an accurate statement. You have to look Corsi and Fenwick on a big sample size, not only 1 game. Well, not really, PLW. I think it has value insofar as it measures your the degree to which you carried the play versus the other team. Things like possession. It shows you things like, how often you had the puck versus the other team, how often you had opportunities. Again, I don't think any statistic is the be all and end all, but if you're looking to find out the overall feel of the game. The fact that one team, dominated, Corsi, Fenwick, shots on goal, all of that stuff, expected goals, high danger scoring chances. I think all of those things combined give you a feel for what the game looked like. And in this particular case, it shows a clear distinction between the final score and what the game actually looked like. And again, that's not an excuse. The Canadiens didn't deserve to win that game, because you don't win unless you put the puck in the net. But it does show you that it's a team that is on the verge, and certainly had its opportunities. And again, a young team, you need to learn to value those opportunities, and realize that those opportunities are hard to come by. And when you get them, you kind of have to bear down a little bit and take advantage of them. And, Corsi and Fenwick will also tell you things like, are you missing the net a lot? Right. And that's another thing that, we can look at today. The Canadiens have a nasty habit of not hitting the net when they have their best opportunities. Right. And I think they need to do that better. They need to get their shots on goal. They need to, to take advantage of those opportunities. If you're going to get, 50 or 60, 65, 70 even, shot attempts, you need to be getting a more significant number of those on the goal. So I don't think Matheson is a piece they would trade. I think they would trade him. I think, like anybody, I think if they got the right offer for him, they would trade him. But losing Mike Matheson puts an awfully big hole in this lineup. To me, I think, for a guy who's playing, 25 minutes plus a game, who's playing on your penalty kill, who's playing on your power play, who's contributing to the team in a lot of very significant ways, I don't think he's a guy they're going to be in any hurry to get rid of. I think he's a guy who brings some stability to the defensive core. I think he's a guy who brings some veteran leadership to the defensive core that is, quite young. And I don't think they'll be in a rush to get rid of him. I think Run with King says, I think the Habs are good at keeping games close. Even with some of the best teams, but their third periods lately, they let teams score more. Again, I think that they were the better team in the third period tonight. I just don't think that they got the goals, right? Again, I don't see a delineation or a distinction between the third period and the rest of the game today. In fact, I think the worst hockey they played was probably in the first 10 minutes of the game. They went down 8-1 or 8-2 or whatever it was on shots on goal. I don't see the third period as being a particularly difficult part of the game for them today. I just don't. I didn't see it that way. I mean, I thought they were the better team in the second period. I thought they were the better team in the third period, and I thought they were the better team in the last, let's say, 8 minutes of the first period. Just got here, but going to lose you with Corsi and Fenwick. Well, I mean, it is what it is, Have Nation. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of all of the advanced stats either, but it gives you some context on the game, right? Like, it gives you context on, the way the game went. As far, obviously at the end of the day, the scoreboard is the only number that really matters. But again, it does provide some insight, especially when you combine it with other statistics, right? Yes. Are you asking me, sorry, what they are? Like, Corsi is basically shot attempts. Fenwick is basically shot attempts minus blocked shots. So Corsi combines all shots directed towards the goal, and Fenwick basically counts all shots directed towards the goal that don't get blocked. And then shots, obviously, are shots on goal, is shots that actually make it onto the net. And then, high danger scoring chances are based upon where those shots come from, like what area of the ice do they come from. And then expected goals, depending on what website you're using, will be sort of a combination of different things with respect to the danger, the angle of the shot, where the shot came from, so on and so forth. I don't know that the natural stat trick model deals with any of the pre-shot play. And I don't think there's any of those models are available for free online. But yeah, it's kind of, yeah. If there's a marginal offer, would I trade Anderson to get rid of the salary cap hit? Define what you mean by a marginal trade offer, Pila White. Like what's the return? What's the return looking like for you? Yeah, I get it, Habinations, but I mean, there's value. There's value there, and there's, again, I don't love it either, and I know there's certain nights that I look at the expected goals and the high danger scoring chances, and I wonder how on earth they came up with the number. But I think overall, in combination, when you look at 5 or 6 of those different stats, I mean, again, if you're proposing that the eye test is better than advanced stats, I think that's also not right. I think there's value in both. And tonight, to me, the eye test kind of bears out some of the advanced stats. And basically what the advanced stats tell me tonight is that the Montreal Canadiens were a team that had a lot of opportunities to score, and they didn't cash in. And I think that is sort of what the eye test tells me as well, right? The eye test tells me that the Canadiens should have been in that game today. They struggled to keep the puck out of their own net, despite the fact that they limited New Jersey's scoring opportunities, and they failed to put the puck into New Jersey's net, despite the fact that they generated a lot of opportunities of their own. Run with Kings. I only say that going back to the beginning of this road trip in Anaheim, the first 2 periods, they averaged 1 goal against, but just can't seem to finish in the third. Like you said, not taking advantage. Yeah. Again, I think, goals are not the be-all and end-all. And I mean, again, when you're a rebuilding team, I think sometimes you need to be judged on things other than just, the final score. And with a team that's in development and whose successes and failures are going to be measured by their development and their progress, oftentimes you need to look beyond the scoreboard. Would I trade Josh Anderson for a 3rd or 4th rounder? I probably would not, PLW. I probably would not. I think he's contributing to the team in a number of ways. I like what he brings on and off the ice. He brings good leadership. I think he's a good role model for the younger players as far as how to be a pro. I think he's a guy who, his example as somebody who has, returned from the abyss, if we can say that, a guy who, struggled and was able to refine his game and redefine his game. I think he has value as an example to the other players. And I wouldn't really look at giving him up for a third or fourth round draft pick. I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't. What site am I using to get quick look at danger chances? Seems mine are available later. I use Natural Stat Trick, PLW. Natural Stat Trick is a pretty rudimentary website, but it does provide all of the information. Based, I believe, on the NHL stats or the NHL data that's available. You like stats? What stats do you like then, Habinations? What stats do you prefer over Corsi, Fenwick? Obviously, those are some of the older ones. But yeah, Devils got their number, plain and simple, a better team. A more experienced team for sure, Jeff. I think they're a more experienced team. They played like I said earlier in the show. Welcome, by the way, Jeff. I think you're new here. I haven't seen you before. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. If you're inclined and you enjoy the content, please subscribe. But yeah, I would say that they played a very efficient veteran hockey game tonight, right? Or this afternoon. They played a game where they, took advantage of the chances that were presented to them, and they shut down the opportunities that were presented to Montreal. So they were much more efficient. They came into Montreal, hostile territory, and they just, they put on a veteran clinic. It's not the first time it's happened to Montreal this year. There have been a number of games that have done that, or that's happened in. I liked Moneyball and Bill James, but I'm just not sold on advanced stats for hockey is all I'm saying. They're not bad, just not a fan. Well, I mean, you're saying they're bad. If you're not a fan of them, you're saying they're bad. Again, I don't think that they're fully evolved yet either, and I think there are some stats that are better than others, and I think that advanced stats in hockey are hamstrung a little bit by the restricted access to data. And again, if you had the money to pay for it and you could get if you had an account with Sportlogic and you could get their data, because their data gets full access to the NHL and even some of their own data where they've got, trackers on the players and so on and so forth. I think that, you probably would see a more accurate statistical analysis of the games. But again, I'm not paying that kind of money to do that. And I think Natural Stat Trick is the best thing available. And again, I mean, I don't see how there isn't value in knowing how many shots a team directs at the other team's net. I don't see how there isn't value in things like high danger scoring chances, like scoring from places that are historically rich, target rich spots on the ice. I do think that they're, expected goals. Some of the models are better than others. And certainly a model that incorporates some of the pre-shot activity is certainly better. The more information that you can sort of squeeze into that expected goal model, I think the better. But again, I think you're limited to a degree when you're using free resources on the internet. Devils a stacked team, not many elements missing. Yeah, they're a pretty good team. I don't think they're any better than Montreal in their bottom six. Certainly when Montreal's healthy. Hughes and Bratt are obviously really, really impressive hockey players. But again, when they're firing on all cylinders, Suzuki and Caulfield are pretty good too. So for me, again, it was more about the experience and the veteran leadership of that team today that made the biggest difference. Too many advanced stats in hockey are embryonic. Yeah, I feel there's an evolution still to be done there, I think. You're welcome, Jeff. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully we'll see you more often. And certainly if you have more questions, fire away. I usually stick on Corsi and look for tendencies on them and expected goals for and against on Money Puck. Yeah, again, I think that Money Puck uses a different model for expected goals. The difference with Money Puck is they don't break it down the same way that Natural Stat Trick does, which is unfortunate. So Natural Stat Trick will break it down by period. They'll break it down a little. There's a little bit more breakdown as far as individual players and stuff like that, which I prefer. But it is, I mean, so for example, today, Natural Stat Trick says that the Canadiens' expected goals were 3.89 to 2.1. And Money Puck says that they were 3.92 to 1.73. So basically, Money Puck thinks that the Canadiens had an even bigger advantage over the Devils than Natural Stat Trick does. So they're using a different model. I'm not sure, the difference between the two models, but I use Natural Stat Trick mainly because I find it easier to work with, and I like the breakdown and the fact that they break down their stats, from period to period, and so on and so forth. So. All these websites are using NHL Edge data and use AI modulation to pull out stats. Yes, but again, they're not just using NHL Edge data. They're using the NHL makes available certain data, and not all of it is made available to everybody. There are certain websites that are paying the NHL for the more in-depth data. A company like Sportlogic is probably getting better access to data from the NHL, and Sportlogic is also, they're on board with the companies that are tracking the data for the NHL, right? The companies that are putting the trackers in the jerseys and tracking, all of this stuff, putting the sensors in the puck and all that kind of stuff. So companies like Sportlogic and others are getting access to more information than a company like Natural Stat Trick does, or Evolving Hockey, or all of these other sites. Jesper Bratt, like Lane Hudson, is an angel falling from the sky. Yeah, he's a pretty good hockey player. I think they're both really good hockey players. They're both having great seasons, and yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see, what how that develops with Jesper Bratt in New Jersey. That combination of him and he and Jack Hughes is a pretty powerful one, pretty potent one. Capitals stealing the cap friendly is terrible. I used to love their pro scouting and how they would actualize it. Yeah, I mean, Cap Friendly was a great site. Puckpedia is doing pretty interesting stuff as well. What's the other one? What's it called? I can't think of the other one. Spot Track, maybe? Spot Track is pretty good. So there's a lot of good websites out there if you know where to look. All right, guys, things are slowing down a little bit here, so let's do the A team. Let's check out the A team here, guys. You can tell me whether you agree with the A team or not. Why is that muted? I don't know why that's muted. Anyways, guys, tonight I had Josh Anderson, Alex Newhook, and Kirby Doc on my A team, as well as Logan Mailloux. So basically, that entire second line I thought had a really good game. Thanks for the thumbs up, guys. Keep them coming. I appreciate it, guys. If you enjoy the content, hit that thumbs up. I see we have 4 thumbs up and we have 10 people watching. If you enjoy the content and you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, and let's keep her going here. The thumbs up definitely helps us. AI is exploitable. Well, Sport Track really doesn't do anything except report salaries. Again, I don't know about the AI generation aspect of it. Sport Track is really just reporting, salaries and salary cap stuff. So again, anyways, how did I do with the A team, guys? Are you in agreement with my A team? Did I mess it up? Are there guys that should be there? Are there guys that shouldn't be there? Anderson, Newhook, Doc, and Mailloux. I thought Mailloux had his best game as a Montreal Canadien. I thought he played really well with Lane Hudson. I think there's some people who thought that was surprising. Those guys don't surprise me anymore. I expect them to be able to do good things on the ice. Logan Mailloux's a good hockey player. Lane Hudson's a good hockey player. There's no reason why the two of them together can't be a good combination. Obviously, Mailloux has struggled at times, but again, I thought he looked really good today, and that's a good sign for the future. I don't think he'll stick with the team. I think they will send him back to Laval. I think they'll send him and Beck both back to Laval, but I thought they both looked really good, Beck and Mailloux today. ChatGPT will take guessing out of betting soon. Yeah, I don't know about that. There is no A team. Nobody did nothing. Nobody scored. Nobody provided. I disagree with that, Frank. I know you just joined in the show, Frank, but the Canadiens were the dominant team tonight in most aspects of the game, other than the scoreboard. They had more shots on goal. They had more scoring opportunities. They had more expected goals. So again, the idea that nobody did nothing, I don't think is a. Again, you focus quite a bit on scoring as being a measurement. Scoring isn't the only thing in hockey. There are other things. I think Arbor Jackeye had a pretty good game tonight as well. I think you could have certainly considered him. Anderson, Beck, Carrier, and Yuppie. Okay. I didn't see Carrier being anything special tonight. Again, yeah, again, the Canadiens, every player on the Montreal Canadiens, with the exception of Gallagher, Armia, Matheson, and Savard, finished with positive expected goal percentages tonight. And Savard was at 47%. Matheson was at 48.5%, and basically Gallagher and Armia were right on 50%. So, yeah, I thought they looked pretty good, PLW. Again, I had a bit of a debate in my chat group with Marco and Entertap about it. I don't think Marco is a big Mayu fan, and he has been kind of dreading the idea of Mayu and Hudson playing together, and them being partnered together and actually doing well today. He said was a surprise to him. But I think there's a potential there for a good partnership. And I thought, as Jeff says, I thought he played his best game of the year so far. I think he played his best game as a Montreal Canadien, really. Habinations, to be honest, ChatGPT is a force in hockey pools at the moment. Just give them time. I foresee a time when I'll be out of work. Is that what you do for a living, Habinations? Is that what you do? Are you in the hockey stat world? Well, scoring is wet wins you game. You don't score, you don't win. Well, again, Frank, this team is in a rebuild. And if you're looking to measure a team, whether they're in a rebuild or not, based only on scoring, then I don't think you're going to have a pretty accurate vision of a hockey team. You also win games by keeping the puck out of your net as well, right? So scoring isn't the only way you win in hockey. You also win by playing defense, and you win by doing a number of things on the ice. So. Again, I'm not suggesting to you that you don't win by not scoring, Frank. What I'm saying to you is your suggestion that nobody did nothing tonight is an inaccurate one, right? So you like to jump to conclusions and you like to fly off the handle a little bit. There's a difference between not scoring and not doing nothing. That's what I'm trying to say, right? It's not as simple as that. It's not as black and white as that. There's more to hockey than just that. And, if you simply want to look at the scoreboard, then that's, makes life pretty simple. But we also like to watch the games, and we also like to, to analyze and talk about the game. I could certainly come on here and just put 4-0 on the screen and let you guys stare at it for an hour and a half. But I don't expect that would be very popular. So, we kind of try and look beyond just the score, and we try and figure out why the score went the way it did. And again, to come in and suggest that nobody did anything and nobody deserves to be on the A team, again, I just think that's a pretty uninformed take on the game, because, there's a lot more to the game than that. And there's some players that certainly did have good games tonight, if you actually watched it. I'm not a Mayu fan, but I have to admit they moved the puck well in the ozone. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a fan of all Canadiens players, right? PLW, like I cheer for every player on the Canadiens. I want everybody on the Canadiens to do well. So in that aspect, I am a Mayu fan. Do I think he had a bit of a setback this year? Maybe, but I also think that he's been working on certain things down in Laval that have certainly hindered his production. So again, I wonder whether or not we're looking at a scenario similar to that, where Cole Caulfield kind of, some people would have said he struggled a little bit last year, but realistically he was working on things. So again, I'm a fan of everybody on the Canadiens. There's no player on the team that I dislike, and I really don't understand fans that dislike players on the Canadiens. I really honestly don't understand that. To me, if you're a real fan, you like the players and you hope for them to do well. It's kind of an issue I have with a lot of fans, that they don't get that. Like, I don't try to respond emotionally to the players. I try not to, I try to look at the bigger picture, and I try to, judge and analyze and assess the players based on a bigger picture than just my sort of emotional reaction to the last thing I saw from them. But you got a side hustle going. Do you have nations? And I'm really into stats. But I can't say who, because you talked to Marco and Entertap you into making bad trades. And I'm really into stats, but I can't say who, because you talked to Marco and Entertap you into. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Habinations. I think you're probably talking about the fact that you're in their pool. Taking sample size of 10 games, we need to look at an evidence not only luck defines the results. Taking a sample size of 10 games, we need to look at an evidence, not only luck defines the results. Well, there's a lot of things that define the results, PLW. And again, the results are not always the most important thing, especially when you're on a team that's rebuilding, right? Sometimes the results are not the measure of whether or not you played well or whether you succeeded or failed. I get it. I think what you're trying to say, Habinations, is that you don't want to talk to me about the stats because you think I'm going to talk to Entertap and them. I get it. I get the joke. It's just I didn't really understand the wording of it all. So again, like that's one of the things that I focus on here on this show is the idea that we're not all about the result, right? We need to look a little deeper than the result. And again, like I said, I could post 4-0 on the screen and we could stare at it for an hour and a half and not say anything. But again, the rebuild to me is fascinating, and the progression and the development of this team and where they're going and where they'll be, in a month from now, next season, the season after that, those are things that are really, really interesting to me. And we can analyze the game on the basis of the game itself, and we can analyze the game on the basis of what it means for this team as it continues to move forward. When the Habs are bad, I use funny as a cope so I don't get mad and want people fired or traded. I've been drinking, so I type badly without syntax. It's all good, man. Drink away. I also like to drink. So I also have a bar with 150 bottles of rum in it, about 20 feet that way. So once this show is over and I finish my workout, I'm going to take this shirt off. Actually, I'm starting to sweat. We'll probably join you in that endeavor, Habinations. Oh, pardon me. I was just sweating with that hoodie on, guys, a little bit. So that's it for the A team, guys. I guess everybody agrees completely with my A team except for Frank, who doesn't think anybody should be on it. Who do you want traded or fired on the team, Habinations? Again, I struggle with this concept of wanting to replace Canadiens players with players from other teams, right? Everyone's always talking about trades, and everyone's always talking like, we're going to try and get Noah Dobson, or we're going to go and try and get Owen Power, or we're going to go and try and get Dylan Cousins, or we're going to go and try and get Elias Pettersson. Like, why? Like, even one guy, on TikTok earlier, the Canadiens should try and get Mitch Marner. Why on holy hell's earth would the Canadiens want to get Mitch Marner? Like, again, I get it. Mitch Marner's a great hockey player. He's a 100-point guy, and any team would love to have a 100-point guy. But, the Canadiens are rebuilding. They've said so outwardly, inwardly, every possible way. There's no debating it. And that rebuild means that they're building from within. They're building with their own players. And yes, there may come a time during that rebuild where they fine tune by adding a UFA or by making a trade or whatever, or they might even go out and trade for some guys like they did with Newhook and Doc and Carrier and add little pieces here and there. But they're not building this team in the free agent market. They're not building this team by making trades, right? They're not. That's not what they're doing. And second of all, there's time frames and salary cap implications to a rebuild as well. And bringing in a 14, 13, whatever Mitch Marner is going to want, as a salary next year, bringing in a guy who's making that kind of money makes no sense. Bringing in a Dylan Cousins, for what? Like, where's Dylan Cousins going to play? Right? Is Dylan Cousins? You're replacing Kirby Doc? You're like, what are you doing? Like, where's Dylan Cousins going to play in your lineup? Where is Noah Dobson going in your lineup? Like, who are you? Are you getting rid of Reinbacher? Are you quitting on Reinbacher before he gets any chance to do anything in the NHL? Are you giving up on Mailloux before he gets any real chance to do anything in the NHL? Like, are you giving up on Caden Gooley? Like who are you giving up on in order to go and pursue Noah Dobson, who, by the way, isn't having a very good year, right? So everybody who thinks that Noah Dobson is a quote-unquote sure thing and that you're trading Reinbacher or Mayu, who are still not guaranteed to be anything, in favor of Noah Dobson, who's a sure thing. Noah Dobson's not a sure thing, right? Like last year, Noah Dobson had 70 points, and that's awesome. And if you get 70-point Noah Dobson, that's exactly what you want. Any team would want that. But this year, he's got 24 points in 46 games. And he's a -8. Now, I get that plus minus is not, the most ideal stat. But again, context. Like, Noah Dobson isn't a sure thing. And so, the idea of giving up on these players, I like the Canadiens players. I like the Canadiens prospects, and I want to see them. I want to see them develop. I want to see Logan Mailloux develop. And maybe he doesn't make it. Maybe Logan Mailloux isn't good enough. And I want to see David Reinbacher play. And I want to see, him, make it. And maybe he doesn't. But again, I'm not going to quit on Reinbacher and say they should trade him, and bring in a guy who, who may or may not, again, lateral moves, right? I just don't see it. I don't understand it. Like bringing in Nemec. Are you going to trade Logan Mailloux for Nemec? Like, what are you doing there? You're basically saying that I'm giving up on Mailloux and I'm taking a chance on another guy from another team, right? I don't know why fans want to do that. I get that fans are that trades are sexy and fans want to see new guys and whatever, but like I like the Montreal Canadiens. I like Logan Mailloux. I like David Reinbacher. I like Adam Engstrom. I like Bogdan Konyushkov. I like these guys, and I want to see them. I want to see them do it. Start working out so you avoid tearing your back muscle swinging at my splitter. I think I'll be okay, PLW. What's my take on the Rantanen versus Necas performance? Necas is playing well. He's obviously in a really good situation on a line with Nathan MacKinnon. That certainly helps. Rantanen, I think, has been a little slow, isn't he? Again, I haven't followed that closely. I don't think those two guys are comparable players. I think Rantanen's the better player. But again, Rantanen comes with a much bigger price tag as well. I didn't like Brisebois, Brian Savage. I called Vincent Danfous, Vinny, the bum. Some fans are like that. Yeah, I know that some fans are like that. But again, I think that, to me, like I said, I try to bring a more objective approach to it. And I get that not everybody's the same as me. And I don't expect everybody to be the same as me. And that's perhaps, partly my downfall. But again, I like the Montreal Canadiens, and I'm going to cheer for them, and I'm going to cheer for their players, and I'm going to hope the best for their players. Patience, it will pay off in time. Yeah, patience is the number one virtue for any general manager. Any general manager, there isn't a scenario, in my view, in hockey management where patience isn't to your benefit. Impatience, I think impatience is going to hurt you every time, and patience is going to be your friend every time. I liked Korshin and Chelios. Well, again, it's fandom, but again, it's not, to me, Habinations, it's not, it's, how do I say this? It's a different kind of fandom than what I want to be, I guess. And I get that. I get that, emotion plays a huge role in being a fan, but I don't think it should be the only role. I mean, obviously there's emotion. If there was no emotion in it, we wouldn't get emotional when they win the Stanley Cup. We wouldn't, get emotional when they lose. And there's obviously emotion in it, but there should also be, these are your guys. Like I'm not a New York Islanders fan, so I'm not cheering for Noah Dobson, and I'm not wishing he comes here. I'm a Canadiens fan. So I'm cheering for David Reinbacher and Adam Engstrom and Logan Mailloux. If Noah Dobson did happen to come here, then I would cheer for him. But to me, one of the things I love about the rebuild is that you get a chance to sort of fall in love with these players and fall in love with the prospects, and you become invested in their development, and you become invested in them, being a part of the team. And I get that not everyone's going to be a part of the team, and some guys aren't going to be here forever, and I understand that. But at the same time, these lateral moves to bring in guys, who are basically, you're replacing one guy with another guy. I don't know that I'm into that. Like, I'm not into bringing in, one guy to take over basically the same role from a guy that we already have. Unless it becomes evident and obvious that that guy isn't able to do the job. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Don Foos is probably the most underrated player Habs ever had and not getting the right recognition. Debatable. Welcome, Billy D. You're not late. You're right on time. Well, he was a leave. His nickname started then. Dobson would never get 70 points if Hudson has PP1. Yeah, I mean, Dobson also has, pretty good bona fides as a defensive defenseman as well. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Noah Dobson. I just don't know that I would be in love or desperate to bring him in. Tap that like button, guys. If you're not tapping that like button, give us a thumbs up. Help us get some numbers here. We're only at 5. I get maybe you don't love the show, but if you do enjoy the show, give us that thumbs up. There's 9 of you watching right now. Surely we can get there. I mean, I wouldn't mind having Nemitz if we didn't have to give anything really up. And again, I know we have to give something up for him, but again, I wouldn't give up one of our equivalent prospects for him. Like, I'm not giving up a Logan Mailloux for him. I'm not giving up an Adam Engstrom for him. I'm not giving up a David Reinbacher for him. Like, if you could work out a trade that involved a draft pick and a Sean Farrell or a Philip Mijar or some other guys along that kind of vein, then perhaps you try it and you add him to the mix, you add him to the prospect pool. But I'm not pulling a player out of our prospect pool to throw another player into the prospect pool. I don't see that any of our prospects have reached the point where it makes sense to quit on them at this point. Fans are big on knee-jerk reactions. You've heard me talk before, Billy D, right? Fans are big on knee-jerk reactions, and to be quite honest with you, for years, the Montreal Canadiens management was big on knee-jerk reactions. And it's one of the things I'm very happy to see change with this organization, that they don't do that anymore. Yeah, and that's your prerogative, Habinations. But again, it's not mine. And it frustrates me at times when again, to me, the ultimate goal is for the team to do well, and I don't see the benefit in wishing poorly on any of the players, right? I want every player on the team to do really, really well. And the idea that there might be a player that I really don't like and I want to see him out of here and whatever, it doesn't make being a fan enjoyable to me. And I don't quite get it, frankly. Guys that have their whipping boys and, who want to get rid of this guy and get rid of that guy. I mean, but it is what it is. My friend was a manager at Thursdays back in the day. Pat Burns would call him every night to see where Shane Corson was. Crazy stories. I used to spend a lot of time myself at Thursdays. I worked across the street at the Hard Rock Cafe for a year, and we would often go over to Thursdays after work and hang out there, and I would often see Montreal Canadiens. We would go to Thursdays, and what was the bar upstairs? Churchill's, I think, upstairs on the patio in the summertime. Pretty cool spot, pretty fun spot. There is a saying, never feel sorry for someone who could own a plane. All those hockey players are making too much money and underachieving. Okay. Give me some examples, Frank. Burnsy was a beauty. Yeah, Pat Burns was a good coach. He was a good coach for the time. Again, as you know, I'm not a fan of that style of coaching. And it was certainly more prevalent back then. It was the way you kind of had to coach back then. But I'm kind of glad that the Pat Burns, Pat Quinn style coaches, Mike Keenan, Michel Therrien, those kind of guys, I'm kind of glad that they don't coach that way anymore. Field Habs are not going in the dirty areas, often a part of Anderson tonight. Just a lot of traffic in front of the net. Yeah, I think there's some work to be done on a lot of fronts as far as that's concerned. I think that, I'm happy to see Slavkovsky getting a little bit more physically involved. But again, I feel like he needs to work on his strength a little bit. I find when he hits, he doesn't like he takes himself out of the play a little bit when he makes a hit or when he gets hit. Like he ends up falling down or he ends up off balance or he ends up, so I think a guy like him needs to, sort of work on, the physics of hitting and, his own strength. But again, I think you're right. I think the physical side of the game does need to be there. Losing Gooley doesn't help. But again, I don't think they need to be running around looking for hits. But again, when the hits present themselves, they need to take it. I think they could probably be a little more physical on the forecheck. You hung out at Cheers on Mackay. Yeah, I hung out there. What's the other bar on Mackay? So there's a jazz bar on Mackay. Upstairs it's called Upstairs, but it's downstairs. That was a cool spot. Good food, good beers. What's the beer place down on Crescent on the other side of the Irish pub? Brutopia was another spot I used to hang out. We had a guy who used to work with us at the Hard Rock Cafe who also was a bartender at Brutopia. We would hang out there. I met a lot of Expos players getting drunk on Saturdays despite playing a 1 o'clock afternoon game the next day. Okay. I met a lot of, working at the Hard Rock Cafe, I met Expos. I met players from every MLB team. Virtually every Major League Baseball team, when they came to town, would come to the Hard Rock Cafe at some point. Met all kinds of guys from just about every team. Yeah, I met like hundreds of major leaguers. We used to hang out a lot with the Canadiens players. I remember one night at the end of my shift, we were cleaning up. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. If you remember the Hard Rock Cafe back in the day, it's closed now, as I understand. But when you came in the door, there was like a couple steps that took you down into a lower section. So that section would get cleared out at night on a weekend, and the tables would all be taken out after 6 p.m. There'd be no more food served down there. And so we were, at the end of the shift, we would have to like clean all that area up and put the tables back. And so we were doing that. And there's a guy pounding on the door. And I was like, come on, man. I waved him off. I said, man, we're closed. We're closed. And eventually I ended up going to the door, and it was Turner Stevenson. And he and a couple of the Canadiens guys came in, and they would hang out after hours with us. The main guy that used to hang out with us after hours at the bar, if you ever... Gervais, Gervais. He's the Montreal trainer. He's the bald guy. You see him all the time. He's been with the team for like 25 years. He used to come in all the time. I can't think of his first name right now. Anyways, he would often come in and hang out and have a couple beers after hours with us, sit at the bar. We would sit and have a couple beers after the bar closed. And he would come and hang out, and some of the guys would come and hang out with us as well. So it was a good time. Not sure how Pat would do today with the kids, but loved him at the time. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, Billy D. I think he probably would find a way to adapt. I think he was a smart enough guy to do that. He would adapt to the modern game. But again, yeah, his style of coaching was very, very different than what I think works in the NHL today. We probably all crossed paths in our lives. Small world, Electric Avenue. Yeah, I worked, what years would that have been that I worked at the Hard Rock Cafe? It would have been 1995-ish? No, yeah, 95 or 96. That's not Michelle. It's not Michelle Gervais. What's his, oh my God. It's not Sylvain? Is it Sylvain? No. I can see his face. Oh, I'll tell you in a second. Canadiens trainers. And it's not even Gervais. I'm not even talking about Gervais. I meant Pierre Ouellette. Pierre Ouellette. Yeah. It's not Pierre Gervais, it's Pierre Ouellette. Gervais is the old guy that retired a couple years ago. Michel Gervais is the guy who retired. So Pierre Ouellette is the assistant to the equipment manager, and Gervais was the. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, that's a walk down memory lane. Um, Tap that screen, guys. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. You can do so right down below. Hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. If you're watching in a replay, please do so as well. We love it. I know that not everybody gets to watch the show live. If you are watching in a replay, please subscribe. Please hit the notification bell. Give us a thumbs up. All that good stuff. We are going to go on to the report card tonight. I think I was a little bit harsh on the report card. I probably would change a few things now. If I had the opportunity. Obviously, the three or fewer, they both failed there. They allowed 4 goals. They scored none. I gave them a positive. I gave them a check mark for special teams. I thought the power play looked okay tonight. I don't think it looked terrible. Obviously, they didn't score any goals on the power play, but I think they had opportunities. They also shut down the New Jersey power play, I think, on 3 opportunities. Actions that helped the other team. I thought they did pretty good on that tonight. There weren't a ton of turnovers. They didn't make it easy on the. I don't think they made it easy on New Jersey tonight. I think they made them struggle a little bit. FU factor again. Somebody mentioned that the physicality. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that tonight. Again, there were a couple of instances where the Canadian players got in a little bit of FU matches with the. I would have liked to see them drop the mitts. Beat the shit out of somebody. If you're mad, Kirby Doc, I think, had the opportunity. I think that Josh Anderson had an opportunity. So again, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more than that. I gave them a failing grade for 60 minutes. I don't think they played a full game again. I thought the first 12 minutes or so of the game, they got off to a bit of a slow start. Yeah, so that's Ricky Gervais, not Ricky Gervais, Billy D. Pierre Ouellette is the guy. You can look him up. He is still there. A bald guy, glasses. He's been there for years. I think they've got 3 or 4 assistant equipment managers. Maybe, 3 or 4. But Pierre's been there for a long time. He still looks like exactly the same as he did 25 years ago. But they don't seem mad at losing. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think they enjoy it. Again, I really struggle to call into question the emotional state of hockey players and the effort level and things like that. I think that for the Canadiens right now, I think they're young and they don't understand sometimes how precious different things are. How precious momentum is, how precious scoring opportunities are. When you get a chance to score, you got to really bear down on it. And I think that's something that will come with more. With more time and more maturity. But again, I think also the issue tonight was that, not everything was firing at the same time. Like tonight, the second line looked fantastic. The first line looked okay. The first line was, if the first line is firing on all cylinders and the second line is firing on all cylinders and, you're getting contributions from the bottom 6, then that's the recipe for victory for Montreal. So dealing with adversity, again, I think that sometimes when you get snake bitten a little bit and you're getting lots of opportunities and you're not scoring, then that can kind of build. And you kind of feel, you feel unlucky and, it kind of plays on your mind a little bit. So I don't think they dealt with that really that well. So we shall see. We shall see how things progress. I think that tomorrow's game will be interesting. Tampa Bay will certainly be a big challenge for them. I would really like to see that bottom left category be a big thing tomorrow. I would like to see that FU factor turned up to 11 tomorrow. I'd like to see them go out there pissed off, take it out a little bit on the Tampa Bay Lightning, take it out on Kucherov a little bit and his big mouth. Try and shut his big mouth a little bit and put in a performance. But again, we shall see. We shall see. Suzuki body language during cold streaks and hot streaks is so visible. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that completely. I think Nick Suzuki is pretty level-headed. either way. He doesn't give a lot of emotion, before a win or after a win or before a loss or after a loss. I think he's he's pretty monotone in a way, which is not ideal in some ways. You maybe want him to show a little bit more emotion, but I don't see him. I don't see that from him on or off the ice, really. I think he's a pretty good barometer for the team. And I think he's a pretty good, good at sort of snapping the guys out of, some of the bad stuff. Like typically, he's been a guy who has taken the lead in sort of dragging this team out of bad situations. So again, it's a little bit of a slow night here, guys. Maybe the afternoon game doesn't help. Maybe some people didn't realize the Canadiens played this afternoon instead of tonight. They'll be in for a bit of a surprise when they go to turn their TVs on at 8 o'clock, and only to find out that they have to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs play instead of the Montreal Canadiens. But kind of disappointed in the turnout here. I mean, not disappointed in you guys, but obviously, more numbers always make for a more lively conversation. The more people, the better. But again, I do appreciate you guys all for coming. We got 6 thumbs up. Not ideal. But again, it is what it is. I appreciate you guys for all of your comments and your questions and all of the good stuff like that. We will be doing a show tomorrow afternoon after the game, before the Super Bowl. Don't be dissing Nick. Yeah, again, I have no problem with criticism of players if it's fair and informed. That's kind of my barometer, guys. Is if you're going to criticize a player, be able to back it up, like be able to provide the evidence of it. Again, I don't. Again, I'm not. You do what you want. I'm just like, for me, my barometer is my standard is that if I want to say that a player is doing this or doing that or the other thing, I want to be able to point to specific examples of it. So I'm not, I'm not going to jump on Nick Suzuki. I think he, brings a hell of a lot to this hockey team. But we'll see. You will be watching your Buffalo Sabres, RDP. Yes, I will be watching hockey tonight too. I'm not sure exactly where. Did you guys happen to see the Demidov goals at the All-Star game tonight? Maybe we'll finish with that before we go. Maybe we can finish with that. Demidov is playing in the All-Star weekend for the KHL this weekend. And today, his team, he's playing on Team Bobrov. His team won 9-5, I believe. It's a 3-on-3 shortened game. If you'll just bear with me, if I can find the video. He scored a goal on a penalty shot, and he scored a goal on a regular shot. And I'm not going to bring this up because it's taking forever to upload. So maybe we'll end the show there. See you later, Billy D. Thank you for coming. I think we'll end the show there, guys. I do appreciate everybody for coming by. You're going to the casino. Okay. Well, good luck with that, PLW. Good luck with that. So again, guys, if you are here, if you enjoyed the show, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, then that's fine too. Give us a thumbs down if you really hated it. If you have any feedback, if you have any some constructive criticism or whatever, let me know what you think of the show. If there's things that you think I could do better, if there are things you'd like to see, any of that stuff. We're going to be premiering Habs Therapy Day next Wednesday. That'll be the first episode of Habs Therapy Day. Will be going next Wednesday. Probably at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we will be premiering that. I will definitely let you know between now and then. But I do thank everybody for coming. If you're not yet subscribed, subscribe down below. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching in a replay, we do this show every night after every game, every afternoon. When the Canadiens play in the afternoon, we do a show. We get on the air about 10 minutes after the game. But again, if you can't watch it live, you can always watch it in a replay. The more subscribers we get, the more cool things we can do, guys. I can do polls. I can do different things that I can't do. If I don't have 500 subscribers. So if you help us grow our community, we're trying to grow a community where you guys will have a place to enjoy civil, intelligent conversations about the Montreal Canadiens and about hockey in general. And, like I said, the more people we can have here, the better our conversations will be. And I really appreciate any of your support. Your subscribing certainly does help us grow our channel. Like I said, if you're watching live or in a replay, hit the notification bell and hit the thumbs up. Thumbs up also tells YouTube that, this is a show worth watching. And YouTube will share it a little more widely than if we have a show where we don't get any likes or any positive feedback. So your positive feedback does make a difference, and I certainly do appreciate it as well. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Billy D. Thank you, PLW. I appreciate all of you guys for coming. Frank, RDP. Who else do we got here? Habinations, of course. Jeff, I see you, Jeff. Frank, Lorca or Yorka, not sure exactly the proper pronunciation. Run with Kings was here very briefly. I always like to see Run with Kings. Muck, M-U-K, A-to-Z. Claude Richard était là. James was here at the very beginning of the show as well. And Anonymous with one comment at the very beginning of the show. So thank you, everybody, for coming. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the support. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your participation and your feedback. If you're over there on TikTok, guys, I do appreciate you for being over there as well. And always come on over and you can subscribe to the channel here and join us for Habs After Dark. That's it for tonight, guys. The Montreal Canadiens go down 4-0 to the New Jersey Devils. Not the worst game in the world. Again, the score looks really, really bad. The reality is the score was not reflective of the game itself. I think there was some positive to be taken out of the game. I'm trying to figure this out, why this is doing this. The score was not indicative of the game itself. I thought the Canadiens played a much better game and deserved a better result than what they got. They dominated in most aspects of the game other than the actual final score. And so, so other than that, I thought they played a pretty decent game. I think we can be positive about that. I think you should just do the Super Bowl tomorrow. We'll get you there in an instant. Well, it's not actually a terrible idea, PLW. But yeah, that's where we are. Canadiens 0, New Jersey Devils 4. We will see you tomorrow. The Habs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Peace out.
To Hoffman, Monahan parked in front, docks to Caulfield, fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliners